Hello there. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, no matter where you're calling from. It's great to see you back in today's webinar. My name's Mike. I'm one of the co-founders here at Waybook. But looking at the names coming into today's call, there's many familiar names. So thank you so much for rejoining us. You'll know if you're a regular. This is one of my favorite things to do in the month. Actually, just get to meet many of you, to kind of check back in and see what is happening within Waybook. But most importantly, giving some of the top tips on how you can utilize the new updates that are in Waybook this month to make sure that it's more easy for you to create your single source of truth for your team. Now, July has been an exciting month. We've actually managed to put out some quite big product updates, which have actually been in the development for quite a long time, and are almost the underlying principles of a lot of what we're going to be getting over to you in the next couple of months. So, without further ado, let's jump right into it. But don't forget, this is as interactive and as engaged as possible. So there's a few ways you can get in touch and keep in touch throughout today's session. You've got the chat. Please feel free to say hello, share where you're from. We also have the fantastic Sophia in the background here who will be on the chat answering any questions as they arise. And then you can also jump on the Q&A as well. So there's the Q&A panel. If you want to ask any questions, just put it in any of them, and I'll kind of keep my eyes on those two there as well. And then we've also got a few polls. So yes, hello Kathy from Florida kicking us off, and of course Sophia there as well. So let's have a look at what we've been up to in July and what you can put into action within your account. So firstly, today we're going to cover just a brief update in Shots. So many of you will know Shots by Waybook is essentially our SOP capture tool. There's been a series of updates and optimizations to Shots over the last few weeks and months. There's a lot more coming, but I'm excited to just kind of recap on what is available now. We have the terms glossary. So the terms glossary is something that literally went out a couple of days ago. And this is a really useful tool that you can, within a second, you can optimize your Waybook. We've actually put in some additional data in reports, specifically around completion data, which we'll explore in a moment. The permissions, which we spoke about last month, and if you weren't there, I will give a very brief recap, is now rolled out. And actually, it's quite a fundamental shift in terms of what you can now do from a permissions perspective. And then also connected to that, we have an additional filter for your readers on their required documents as well. So these are the fundamentals that we will be covering, and I'm sure you've noticed a few other things popping up in your account over time, but these are the ones that we would love to share with you today. So let's just have a look at Shots by Waybook. Now, many of you have used this. We've been actually overwhelmed with the amount of people that are using Shots. And for those of you who don't know, Shots really exists because we know that when you want to document a process or procedure or create any sort of knowledge, it can take a while, and sometimes we build up in our minds the job to be done, the to-do list of documents. Whereas we really like to run on the principle of almost creating your content as you're doing your work. So as you're doing your work and you're moving through, my principle is if I do something once, I'm figuring out how to do it. If I'm doing something twice, I'm really confirming that that's the best way to do something. And if I'm doing something 3 times, it needs to be documented, it needs to be delegated. And Shots is your co-pilot that will enable you to document and delegate that as efficiently as possible. So what it actually is an SOP capture tool. That means that you can just create a shot as you go, and then add additional context on that edit, which you can then directly add into your Waybook, either as the basis of a document or even as an embed on your existing documents. So the way you can access this, if you're not already new to it, and then we will talk about the updates, is it's actually available in the Chrome store. So this is a Chrome Store plugin, and it's accessible for the Chrome store. And you log in with your Waybook accounts, and then that will be connected through to all of your accounts as well. So just to kind of give you a very quick view on what that is. if I jump into this Waybook account, now I'm showing you this on a Waybook. This can literally be on any tool on online. So ignore that I'm showing you in Waybook. It can be in your Gmail, it can be in Bamboo HR, in your CRM, whatever that may be. But whatever you do, whenever you're looking to create a procedure, you click on shots, you start recording, and then you quite literally do your work. So if I'm trying to share with you how you go into your turn on your dashboard, so you can allow a personal dashboard within here, and then you add in different links. So this is actually just sharing how you customize your dashboard. You go back into dashboard, and now we can create a new dashboard and whatever that. Now, I'm literally just telling you these steps, but as we're going through it, you'll see that actually it's screenshotting what I'm doing, highlighting where I'm clicking, creating out the description of what I'm doing. And that shot is essentially then an SOP, which I can then bring in two different ways. So one of them could actually be just importing it into a document. So I can actually just import that into our Waybook. The other thing I can do is I can actually share that from this screen or actually copy the embed link of that. Kind of made a bit of a mess here. So let me let me just turn this off, delete that dashboard and turn off this. So say for example, I want to add that shot into this part. I can essentially then just do that as a file attachment, or sorry, no, that's a web attachment. Paste in that embed, and you'll see now that that's almost like a nice scrolled version with the description, what I need to do, how to do it. So that is a really quick way. The updates here are this web embed to make it really easy to go in. And also you can now create longer shots. It's more consistent. And we do have a lot of updates coming soon within this. That includes zooming into the areas that you're looking at, again, saving longer shots and being able to share that more widely as well. So that is your shots update. We're really excited about it. We will put a link. In fact, Sophia, if you could put a link into the chat if possible in terms of the app store for shots. That's actually just a really easy thing to just nice to have on your computer, and then when you want to record something, it's done in a second. The next thing we're going to look at today is our terms glossary. Now, this is, I just actually wanted to glance to see if she's on this. She's actually not. So I was speaking with a relatively new Waybook user a couple of weeks ago, and she loved Waybook. She said, this is everything that we want. They're in a legal practice. But she said, when I joined, there was just so much jargon in the information that was given to me. I felt like I needed a dictionary to constantly remind myself what the acronyms and everything else meant. So together we thought, you know what, wouldn't it be good if someone once would basically put those glossary terms or those kind of detailed descriptions in somewhere within Waybook, and then actually, in order to increase that ease of understanding for readers and provide more context, wouldn't it be cool if that could just pop up everywhere on a hover of any of those terms? So I must take my hats off to the team. This was done really rapidly and it's really excellent. So it's actually an automatic in-text glossary within your Waybook, synced across all of your Waybook documents, and actually is available now. So it's available in your Waybook. It is a pro feature, so on all pro accounts, and that's because it's actually quite a heavy duty processing behind to make sure that everything is in there. And essentially you can access that by defining your terms within your settings. So what I'm going to do is just head back into this account to share with you what that looks like. So here I'll be able to go into settings. On those settings, I can essentially add into options here. Sorry, it's not options, it's of course glossary. So when I'm in glossary, we can literally just add in any of these acronyms, any of these crazy terms we've made up within a business. We can add another one here. So let me say Mike, Mike Bander, and let's say CEO Waybook. You probably wouldn't want to define things like that, but you get the impression those words that you weren't sure what they actually meant when you started in the business, or the words that people always ask. And that is literally it. That is all you do. You just put those terms in, you click save, and then the rest is done for you. So if you are in any of these documents, and let me just try and find one of these words here. So we've got CEO in there. So actually we've got meet the founders. What you'll notice is that CEO will automatically be underscored, and then on a hover, they'll have that definition lined up. So actually, this is a really easy way of you just actually increasing that context across the board without having lots of repetitive explanations, making sure that your communication is more seamless across your Waybook. So that is your terms glossary. As mentioned, it is already out within all pro accounts, so you can just head into settings, and within a couple of minutes, you can optimize that content across your board. So the third thing that we're going to be exploring today, and we are firing through this at a rate of knots. If you do have any thoughts or questions, drop them in the chat, drop them in the Q&A. I can see that Sophia's put that linking for the Waybook Shots download. But essentially, let's head now into the additional reporting data. Now, we know that reports are massively valuable for lots of managers within Waybook, and really we see the use of reports for kind of actually three different ways. One of them is just to make sure that people are looking at the information, that they're seeing it, and they kind of have that update of knowledge. So making sure that their particular team members know the information that they're due to see it. The second thing that people use it for is actually to ensure that there's no knowledge gaps. So they can see in the search reports what people are searching for, what more information people want, how they're grading the Waybook Ask, and then essentially go back into Waybook and start to create more content to answer the questions they can see people answering. And the third way people use reports is really to optimize on the compliance side of your management. So if you have people answering tests, or if you've got people accepting confirmation statements, or in fact just seeing a piece of information, we know that on that compliance side, it's really important to know when people have done that, when they've first done that, when they've last seen or considered that information. So in order for us to increase the ease and the information for management to have that level of compliance, what we've done across reports is we've added in quite a few additional pieces of more specific information across your reports. This is specifically focused on completion dates on content, tests, and confirmation steps. But also we've got the addition of when somebody first did a test compared to when they last did a test and things like that. Now, these minor optimizations are actually in all of your accounts. It's available in everyone's accounts. They're already there, and it is in reports. And actually, they are available within your account now. So just to kind of show you what that looks like. Again, as you know, if you've got a manager or an admin permission on your Waybook account, you can head into reporting. And then on reports, you'll see here that number one now is the report builder. So within the report builder, we can look at any of our content, any of our people, any of our learning paths, any of our tests as the main focus. So let's say we want to look at this subject, and let's stick to the Studio 6, and we break that down by members, or of course the documents within that members to see where everybody with access is against that. But sticking on members here, what we can see is now the last view is an additional part of this, and we've got a lot more specific with when that last view is. And now if I look at an individual user, you'll also be able to see those first and last views, the amount of times they viewed it. But also if I go into a test, for example, you can actually see on this knowledge review when somebody first completed that test, when they last completed it, how often they've attempted it, what score they've got, whether they've passed. So essentially, we're just packing more information within reports. Of course, I mentioned the kind of search insights. Everything within that has continued to stay the same. But we're really excited to continue to improve reports. So we really welcome any kind of questions that you have that you're looking to answer from your Waybook, anything additional you're looking to see to help you stay in the driving seat within the knowledge and making sure that your team has access to everything they need. So as always, please do get in touch and give us any thoughts or feedback you have on the Waybook reports. So now let's move swiftly on into the improved permissions. Now, I know we have regulars in these sessions, so I'm not going to do a complete repeat of our announcement of the permissions that we did last week, last month, but this has been a major change that is now actually rolled out to all accounts. So it's worth us just recapping on the headlines of that, because it really can totally optimize the way that your readers are experiencing Waybook. So the reason why we have started or we made this change to the permissions is essentially it was about extending the member permission customization. So we know that everybody has a different view within Waybook, dependent on who you are within the organization, your level of access, your level of control, and also, of course, when you join the business. So your customized deadlines and learning flows really means that Waybook can take you through that knowledge journey. But one thing that was in Waybook was that we, as a document creator, would decide whether or not a document is for reference or whether it was assigned, or in that case, requiring completion. And we quickly realized with conversations of many of you that it's not really one size fits all. We might have the brand guidelines, which are a required document for our marketing team, but actually our sales team still needs access, but it's just for reference. So what we've now done is optimize the way that you can create permissions. So on an individual, on a group basis, you can now decide whether something is reference or whether it requires completion on that member or on that group. So this essentially means that you now have a lot more flexibility in terms of how you structure your accounts and how you structure your team within that. So just sharing with you very briefly, the major way that we always recommend you creating your teams is, of course, within groups. And if I go into this group, it works in exactly the same way from a visual perspective. We say that these 6 members have access to these 13 groups. Now, within these 13 groups, you can essentially see who has the read access, the edit access, no access, view only access, whatever that may be. And essentially what you can do again is you can break down that document. So if you want to look at individual documents and kind of just actually, we don't want them to be able to access this, but we want this group to be able to publish this part. You can essentially manage all of this within your groups. Now, this is the same as what you did before, even though it looks slightly different. The major difference here is this require completion. You will only turn require completion onto the documents where that group or that user actually needs to complete it. What that means is Waybook will then use that to calculate their progress score. It will remind them in the weekly summary what they need to complete. It will share with them in the incomplete documents. And it essentially means that you can have a whole suite of customizations for your individual users whilst making sure they still have access to the other pieces of content. The other benefit of this, for many of you editors or admins within the account, you may have got used to having a low percentage completion score because you essentially see all of the documents that everybody has access to, but actually you didn't really need to complete them because you either created them or they're not in your main business. That means that actually now admins can have requiring completion off, and you will only have requiring completion on the documents that are relevant to your role rather than being the Waybook admin. So there's lots of changes and unlocks from that small change there. If you ever did want to explore that more or you wanted support with the team, do book in a call, ask anything you want, and we're happy to set you up. Of course, all of the permissions that you had set from your previous system on whether it was required or reference has been migrated over to this new system. Okay, the final piece that I'm going to show you today, and actually it is related to that other piece, is because only in the last month where these new permissions have been rolled out, we've seen that people have really started to customize that level of access. And we've seen 2 things happen. One of them is that we've seen that a lot of businesses are now giving more access to more team members, but on a reference basis. So this is that concept where one department will actually now share their documents with another department, but just as reference only. So it means that people have more content within their Waybook. Now, in order to make sure that Waybook is still really effective for you to be able to know what documents you're seeing, we've actually added an additional filter onto the structure view. So for all of these reasons of being able to have that more focused view on required knowledge and information, that additional content filter for readers in the left-hand side enables us to easily distinguish between all documents and our required documents. So that's something that is available now, available immediately, and in all counts in the left-hand navigation. So I'll just open that up now so you can see. If I've got all of my documents, I can expand everything out. This is everything I've got access to, which as obviously the admin on this account will be a lot. But I'm able to now just click this filter view, and what I'll see is only the documents that I have been assigned. So it looks very similar on this account because I require completion a lot of this, but it will actually filter out those core documents. And as always, you will have that note up here to make sure that you know that you're seeing a filtered view and you don't think that you've got documents missing. Now, this works in exactly the same way as your bookmark documents. So you'll see here, if I'm clicking on bookmark documents, I'm only seeing the ones that I, as a reader, have chosen to bookmark, which are also obviously available here on the dashboard as well. So those two pieces together just give a lot more flexibility and control to your readers to make sure that they can see the most important things for them at any stage of their knowledge journey. So, ladies and gentlemen, that does bring us to the end of the major updates which we're sharing with you for this month. We're always building, you know that. This time next month, there's going to be a lot more. The two major things that we're working on at the moment that you can get excited about is the ability to bulk edit within the document manager. Now, we know that actually not everybody uses the document manager. And let me just jump back in to share what that is. The document manager is essentially this view here. And this is essentially a long form list of all of the documents that I have access to as an editor. Now, this is where we basically see you becoming the master of your Waybook. So for example, if I go in a quick filter, if I own certain documents, I can just filter for the documents that I own and see it in this Power Editor mode. You may also, if you're the verifier on documents and you're required to verify a document, I can actually do the quick access on what I need to verify or perhaps who owns them, things like that. But of course, you can actually see lots of different pieces of information. What's the status of those documents? What a pending review? And then also create your own filters within that. So this is a really powerful view to be able to get a holistic understanding of what is the state of knowledge within the business, who's owning what, where are things being processed. But that will also mean that you will be able to do bulk editing along this. For example, if we had certain documents within the marketing subject, I can just easily add our marketing manager as the owner of all of them or set a next verify note, things like that. So you've got that coming up relatively soon. And then the other thing that I'm really excited about, and actually I must say a massive thank you to probably about 5 of our Waybook accounts who've really worked tirelessly with us in making sure that this is going to be an absolutely amazing feature. But we're introducing a new optimized approval workflow. So you know that you can collaborate on documents, make these edits, push for review, publish, and see those changes. All of those great features are going to remain, but we've got a really exciting update which enables you to have a full cohesive workflow with different stakeholders needing to do different things on a document, which is great for the iterating and updating of a document, but it's also going to be very useful for the creation of your Waybook as well. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of today's session. I am going to pause to see if there's any thoughts or questions in the chat or the Q&A. But if that doesn't happen, you've been very quiet today, all of you. There's quite a few of you on here to be so quiet. But but I'll keep a little glance out for those Q&As. But I'd like to thank you all so much for doing what you do, for sharing your enthusiasm for Waybook, and of course for systemizing the business. So thank you so much. We're really excited to continue to grow with you. Please do keep in touch if there's anything you think we can do more, or of course you just want to share the value that you're getting within Waybook. And we really hope that you get your business on the same page and continue to enjoy some smooth scaling. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. Have a great one, and I look forward to seeing you back here in August 24. Have a great one.